I'm Chip Freund, and this is the Artist Spotlight, conversations with contemporary artists based on 5 simple questions that explore the artist's journey, creativity, and sources of inspiration. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Artist Spotlight podcast. I am Chip Freund, and I'm joined today by Jaimon Caceres, color pencil artist based in Raleigh, North Carolina. So why don't we just roll on into it? So my first question is, what's your earliest memory of making art of any kind?
So my earliest memory is kind of a funny one because I have drawn since before I can remember, but I have vivid memories of sitting in my bedroom and running out of paper constantly and drawing on my white bedroom walls with crayons and getting spankings, because that was back when spankings were still acceptable.
Yep. Yeah, I can see how that might happen.
All the time, like constantly. I was such a well-behaved child, but I never got spankings for drawing on the walls. But I was just like, my parents didn't understand. I'm like, I can't stop. Like, you need to give me more paper. But that it was kind of fun going down memory lane thinking about like all the early memories, and I think that's probably the earliest one.
Oh, that's a great one, and it really speaks to, you know, sort of who you are as an artist, that it just started so young, and it was, for lack of a better word, a compulsion.
Yeah. And like, it's fun to look back at that as an adult, because it's like, well, I guess I should have taken that as a sign.
Oh, neat. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So obviously you were drawing on paper, and you're now really focused on colored pencil, and in a way that, as I've told you before, just blows my mind. What brought you to that medium?
A couple of things. When I was little, I'm the youngest of 4 kids, and some of my older siblings were actually very good with graphite. So they did a lot of really interesting like graphite sketches, and I always loved what they did. So as I got older, kind of started experimenting with it myself. I really did want color, though. I was a little intimidated by colored pencil. And then, as I kind of got into more young adulthood, I experimented with, I would say, most of the mediums out there. And all of the kind of liquid-based, paints and things. I felt like they didn't behave. The runniness, like, I love that in other people's work, but I didn't enjoy that. I liked really being able to have the precision that I needed. So that kind of brought me back to my pencils, and then I slowly started trying colored pencil, and it really just stuck. Kind of the marriage of having the color that I wanted and being able to control it the way that I need to. And
I like that phrase, the combination of the marriage of color and the control.
Also, anybody who knows me personally knows I am a sucker for a challenge. I love to be challenged, and I can say colored pencil is the hardest medium I've ever tried, and I love that about it.
What makes it difficult, as one who doesn't work in that medium? I don't have a reference.
Yeah, it's for one, you can't erase. So there's not that feeling of, oh, well, okay, if that doesn't work, I can just, go over it. Like, there is no going over it. Once it's down, it's down. You can manipulate it a little bit, but not much. So there's a little bit of a feeling when you sit down of like, okay, I really need to focus here. I can't just, fiddle around and play. Um, and it's just intimidating to look at a piece of paper, even though my work isn't huge, but it's when you're looking at a pencil that has a point that's really teeny tiny and thinking, I have so much ground to cover here. It's really intimidating.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's one of the things that has caused me to steer away from um, what I sort of group as all of the additive art forms, where you're placing medium down on a substrate. You're starting with a
Yeah.
blank sheet of paper, and you've got to bring something to life. I gravitated to photography because I can't draw, I can't paint, I can't. The most intimidating part of my whole process is signing my name, to give you a sense of how I don't like drawing that way. Now you give me straight edges and rulers, and I can do great mechanical drawing.
Sure.
But yeah, the freehand, that's tough. So that's what brings me to the photography. Is it's a reductive art form. I'm removing things from the frame. I've explained it to some people that it's actually more like being a stone sculptor, where you're chipping things away to leave what's supposed to be there. Whereas everybody initially tries to compare it to painting or pencil or pastels or what have you, because it's a two-dimensional art. I'm like, no, it's actually more like sculpting.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually, because you're starting with something and then pulling it back and manipulating it instead of starting.
And it starts from being behind the camera in the field, moving left, moving right, in and out, what lens, what focal length to use to get rid of the things that don't need to be there. And then it follows up. Now that we have digital, you can go in and remove things digitally. But I'd rather do it in camera.
Yeah.
But this is not about me. This is really more about you. But it was interesting to hear your take down there. I didn't realize that colored pencil really was once it's down, it's down. All right.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I have learned ways to kind of manipulate mistakes to minimize them, or it's very hard. I'm so jealous. Like here at Artspace, I get to see a lot of painters, and like, that would be so nice.
Just put another layer on top.
Yeah.
All right. I think every artist is different in terms of where their art comes from. What inspires your art? And maybe it's multiple things, but where does it come from?
I loved this question because I think it has changed for me over time. And to be honest, right now, it's kind of going through a process of some change at the moment, which is exciting. But a common thread has always been depth, really dramatic imagery, dramatic lighting, dramatic color. That's always what I'm drawn to, and that's always what when I see, not even in just art but in general, when I see things that are very deep and dramatic, I'm drawn to them, and that's kind of what I am hoping to create in my art. I do feel like I haven't at times kind of strayed in and out of that. It hasn't always been as clear, but I'm as I'm getting a little bit more, I hope, mature in my career, I'm kind of honing in on what that feeling is.
In terms of emotions and feelings, some artists I know, really sort of draw out of, angsty moments and anger and frustration, where I really only can create when I'm in a state of peace. And if I'm agitated, frustrated, I can't create anything. And if there's things bothering me, I just can't. It's not an outlet for me to deal with emotion. Where are you on that spectrum?
I'm kind of in the middle, to be honest, because I do think what drew me to be an artist seriously as an adult is from, some difficulties from childhood that, because art, like, when I was drawing on my bedroom walls, like that was very much my escape. And I enjoyed it. And that, it made me fall in love with it. But um, now I'm at a place where like I'm not creating out of angst because I don't have angst, but it is very much like being inspired by getting through angst. But like I don't live in it now. What I live in now is very like joyful and beautiful, and that's, but that's why I kind of like that there's a little bit of a sense of mystery and drama, because it's like it's beautiful now, but it did come from something that maybe wasn't so beautiful.
That's it. Yeah, and I've read some of the backstory of your recent work about coming out in your life, and wow, that's some heavy stuff.
Yeah, and it like where my art is kind of changing now. I recently had a chat with someone really great who kind of ripped me to shreds in like the best way possible. Because I think I've been so focused, especially with the way my work is, I've been so focused on technically mastering it. And she pretty much was like, yeah, you can go a lot deeper. So that's really what I'm working on now, is using that technique, but also bringing out that inspiration that I have. Because I don't feel like it has always shown through in my past. Sometimes, yes. But
okay.
Work in progress, as it always is.
I would hope so, as any artist. Because as soon as you think this is my best, what does that say about what tomorrow brings?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. What advice would you give to artists sort of starting their journey?
Okay, I have to look at my notes for this because I could talk about this for hours, but I have narrowed it down to 4 things.
Okay.
I think. One, know who you are as a human being, because that really does, everything that we were just talking about. If you don't know who you are and what's important to you and what you love, your art isn't really going to say anything. So then, like, what's the point? But it's very hard sometimes to know who you are very vulnerably. So figuring that out is a good first ground zero kind of step.
You could argue that's a great ground zero step for successful life.
Pretty much for anything. And I think especially anything creative, because, we're so oversaturated. Everyone is an artist now. Like, how do you stand out? Well, you stand out by being uniquely different.
That highly overused term of authentic.
Yes. I hate that has now become the Instagram hot word, but it's true.
Yeah.
My second one would be only take advice from people who are experts. I don't know why, but there is something about being a visual artist of whatever your medium is that suddenly everyone, it seems, has an opinion on how you should be doing things. Oh, well, you should go look at this gallery, or, oh, you should, go to this art fair, or you should, put your art up in this way, or maybe, and it's like, you wouldn't meet a doctor and say, oh, well, you should operate on people that way. I think that actually would be really interesting. It's like, you're not an artist. Like, but when you're first, learning, like, you don't know yourself. So like, only take advice from people who you actually admire their career and who know what they're talking about, because it can really mess you up. It's messed me up before.
Yeah. I've seen some examples of that in my art so far. there's a photographer that I met at a conference, photographic artist, um, Cole Thompson, and he does stark black and white work. And one of the series that he did, I'm forgetting what he called the series, but it was these dramatic images with a single white cloud. So you got whatever it might have been, a mountain with a cloud over it, a tree with a cloud over it, but it was just these single white clouds. I loved it. And one of the things he was finding is when he was getting started, he went and had a portfolio review, and the person's looking through that and basically says, these are wonderful things. They look like Ansel Adams, but it's horrible because Ansel has done Ansel. You need to do Cole. Get out of here. And he says, that's actually the best advice I ever got, which was to do what I want to do. But what he then went on to do is he's like, I am now practicing photographic abstinence. I am not looking at anybody else's work. He's like, I don't look at Instagram. I don't do any of that. I just do my stuff. I'm like, okay, that's kind of extreme, but it's an interesting approach. And it sort of speaks to, everybody's telling you what to do, and he basically just shuts it all out.
Yeah. Well, and when you're still figuring out your style, it's hard not to give into, Instagram when you see, oh, that's really interesting. Maybe I should try that. Oh, that's, but it's hard to separate out sometimes like, oh, I really love that, but that's not me, but I still really love it.
Yeah. Well, and it goes to success is the worst teacher in the sense that you get something right and everybody rewards you for it, and you get all of this praise, and you then are sucked into that. You actually didn't learn anything, but you now are chasing that praise.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite quotes, and of course I'm not going to remember who this is from, but talking about dealing with rejection, the opposite is that the only way to really learn how to deal with rejection is to treat rejection and praise the same. Mm-hmm. To give them no, and that has actually really helped me a lot, because I used to love the, oh my God, like this is so amazing. And now it's like, okay, that's really nice. When somebody says it, sure. But I try not to get that endorphin rush from it,
You tamp it down just a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with, enjoying that moment, but I think to your point, you can't overweight it.
Yeah.
All right. You had additional thoughts. So that was 2.
Yes. I have 2 more. Sorry.
Okay. Roll on, my friend. Roll on.
The third one would be accept and fully embrace that you're going to make a million mistakes. That was so hard for me. Is still sometimes challenging, because I think we care so much about it, obviously, or we wouldn't be doing it. And it's, what we put out into the world, we want it to be, perfect, and it's never going to be. And sometimes we're going to really screw things up. And I think the faster you just kind of embrace that that's going to happen and get over it, it just makes life so much easier and allows room for creativity to come in.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. Because as soon as you are afraid of making a mistake, you just completely shut down the creative process.
Mm-hmm. And now I try to just laugh, like I sent out my last series that I finished. I sent out, this big newsletter. I had double checked everything, I thought, and, put all this work into it, hours of typing out just the right words. And I fired it off and got a text from a friend who's on my email list saying, You might want to check the links on your images because I think they're linking to your last series and not the one you just released. Because I had a template that I had copied and then changed,
Yep.
but I didn't change the links.
Cut and paste is a wonderful tool, but it will shoot you in the foot as fast as anything.
I was like, you've got to be kidding me. But then I was like, okay. So I just sent out another email with the exact same thing and changed the headline to something like, oops.
Yeah.
Here we go, And then the last thing is probably my most important one, which is my mantra, is to just enjoy creating, because it's so simple, but we forget, that the whole point is to be doing something that we love, and we get in the mire sometimes of the figuring out and the trying to make it work and get ourselves out there, and it's all very frustrating. And and then we realize we have to be business people as well as creatives, and that's just extremely annoying. But at the end of the day, the whole point is that we love it. And I have to remind myself of that daily. Like, okay, I'm doing this because I love it. Yeah. So allow myself to love it.
Yeah, and the pieces of what you have to do that aren't so wonderful, some of the business side or whatever it may be, it's enabling you to do what you love. So look at it in that context.
Yeah.
All right. The last question that I'm going to be asking everybody is, who is an artist that you would recommend people check out, that inspires you? It could be somebody you've known for years. It could be an artist you just discovered. It could be somebody that you know personally. It could be somebody that you would love to meet one day, but you're inspired by their work, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I have kind of a recent discovery. Her work is completely different from mine, but there is a London-based contemporary abstract painter. Her name is Alice Sheridan. Her work is great, but there's also just something about the way that she's presenting it. Her social media and on her website, she has a podcast, and she's just completely like doing her. And it's very obvious in her work, that it's very genuine, and like there's no bullshit. It's just so refreshing. So I've been really enjoying her lately, and I got to meet her over Zoom and chat with her a little bit. Very worth checking out. She's very inspiring, and kind of just like the way her career has gone is really inspiring for other artists.
Well, thank you again for your time today, and I look forward to stopping down and see your new space here one of these days.
Yeah, I'm going to be expanding a little bit. Right now I'm sharing, but my studio mate is leaving this month, and then I'm going to be in the whole space. So it'll be exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. All righty. Well, hey, take care, and we'll be in touch.
Yeah, good to catch up.
Indeed. All right. Take care now. Bye-bye. And that concludes our first episode of the Artist Spotlight. I wanted to thank Jaimon for his time today, and for additional information to access both Jaimon's information as well as that of the artist he recommended, Alice. Please check the show notes here, and I've got links in there for all of that below. Thanks so much for joining us in today's episode. Until next time. Thank you for joining us. This has been the Artist Spotlight with Chip Freund.
find accompanying blog posts at shipfreundphoto.com/blog, and you may subscribe to our show on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you like listening.